depression in the birth chart. This is a difficult topic to take on, but we believe it's very important. So we do it anyway because our mission here is to help, and sometimes understanding the reasons behind a condition may contribute well to relief and our healing. Our mission is to help. This is what this entire channel is for. So if you watch this finding yourself or a loved one in depression and pain, maybe some advice from your chart may be useful. Please feel free also to reach out in the comments. We will do what we can to help. Even psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung, he's quoted saying that if he didn't find the reason for a mental health illness or issue in his medical practice, he would resort to astrology to figure out the background from the birth chart of his patient. Also, as a disclaimer, such a generic video like this one can only address a meta perspective and generic outlines what to look for. But a complex phenomenon like mental health generally merits an individual approach with every single birth chart, especially when it comes to finding the right help or way out. Another disclaimer needs to be that this, of course, is not a video to give you medical advice. What we can do is suggest you have certain conditions checked, because especially with depression, certain details can go unnoticed, but they can represent a clue in the treatment. So maybe you'll find some help and relief here. If you find the issues that you experience not addressed in this video, please comment below. We are very interested to take on board the diverse backgrounds and conditions that there are and address them in later videos, because we can already say now, before starting here, that we can cover some basics, but not the entire phenomenon, of course. So that will be certainly something that is missing, and we want to cater to that as we go in later videos. Especially mental health is a great concern in our team. This is why we dedicate a video to this topic so early in our history on this channel. So let's get into this. Depression and mental health, although it is mental, can be physical, emotional, and depression and mental health, although called mental, can have physical, emotional, and mental reasons, or all of that. What we found depression teaches us all, especially when very intelligent people suffer from it. They have a very sharp mind and argue the background of their depression. What we heard repeatedly is the sentence, "But life has no meaning." And all we can say is that this is correct by definition. Life doesn't come with a fixed program that you just live and finished. Life, and therefore also your birth chart, represents the life given, the talents and the challenges. But life comes without a certain meaning attached to it. Now we can take the meaning that our parents or society imposes on us, and we consciously use the word impose because it's not ours, it's theirs, to be frank. The meaning of our life is none of anybody else's business. And sorry for being hard, it is also not the business of our parents. What parents can do and would need to do is help their children find their own meaning, their own goals, show them how to overcome challenges, but not impose their beliefs and their idea of what should be the meaning of life. As a parent, you can offer, encourage, and demonstrate as a living example, but imposing values and meaning may deprive someone else of finding their own unique path and meaning. Finding meaning in life means that you put the meaning in yourself. Meaning is not thrown at you from the outside. It is what you shape yourself. And if you don't shape it, others will. And then you will be a slave. So when looking for relief, we can look to the motivations of an individual. One place to look for is Jupiter, its sign and house placement, and the related aspects, as well as the house ruled by Jupiter. We'll get to that a little later. Generally, we have to say that a chart that poses a great challenge usually also contains the power, even if it doesn't look like this at first sight. The power to tackle the challenge and win. This is where astrology can come in. Here we are in a place to find clues that are not obvious or that we tend to overlook in the dark state of mind that a depression or mental health condition poses. We brought several examples to this video later on to illustrate this. On the other hand, there are certain mental health illnesses that elude themselves from being cured. Nevertheless, you may wish to try and find the way out if you want to go for a better and happier life and if you want to go looking for clues. You never know what is possible. Our mind and soul are powerful and powerful agents if we learn to use them well instead of being used by them. Recent science has also shown that the mind tends to gravitate towards the negative and expect the negative. So the mind, left alone, can take you places you don't want to go. So what is recommended is to permanently raid your mind for negative thoughts and stop them. Actively stop them every time. What we haven't realized for the longest time in evolution is that we shape and decide what we think. We recommend you try. It puts you in command over the unspecified force in your mind and soul. Your mind left alone will drive you into the abyss. And this is valid for everyone. We need to go clean up our act on a permanent basis. This is to say that there can be, of course, conditions of malfunction in the body that don't allow for this. But wherever depression comes from thinking or overthinking, especially also in connection with high intelligence, it's definitely worth a try. And you may also look at health conditions if they relate to deficiencies, like for instance in vitamins. Vitamin B can be involved here, for instance, or other deficiencies that can lead to a strain on the body and therefore on the mind. To wrap this up, if you manage to actively shape your thoughts, it will give you enormous strength in every condition, and that will feed into your healing. So let's get into this. Where do you look in the chart for clues on depression and mental health? For emotions and everything concerning the soul, you'd look at the moon. For the subconscious, you would look at the 12th house. For everything relating to transformation, death, passion, and what we receive from others, we look at house number 8. Since depression can also be a physical condition and manifestation in the body, we would look at the house number 6. House number 6 speaks about the general health condition and the function of the body. So if anything there points to deficiencies or negative conditions relating to the moon for emotions or also for hormones, and for Mercury for thinking, for instance, there is a red flag there to follow up on. Negative conditions could be tensioned aspect with mainly Saturn, Neptune, Mars, or Pluto. We'll see some examples later on. For detailed meanings of planets, houses, and aspects, please refer to the description below for our free downloads. You may also want to look at everything going on in Scorpio, as the sign itself also deals with the dark sides of life. Scorpio can indicate much strength and a never give up on anything attitude, but can also put heavy strain, like for instance on the moon in Scorpio. So let's keep that in mind. You may also want to check the rising, then Neptune, because Neptune can cloud perception or create doubt, both of which are associated with the reasons behind depression, so we want to look for that, especially like in this case here with Neptune on the rising, or in tensioned aspects like square, opposition, or conjunct to other planets. Further planets we want to look at here are Saturn, as in tensioned aspects. This can indicate a depreciation, restriction, depression of the underlying quality of the planet that has an aspect to Saturn, mainly the Moon, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus. We only speak of tensioned aspects here because sextiles and trines, the favorable aspects, they tend to stabilize other planets if they come from Saturn. So mind this difference here, please. Then we should check for Pluto with regard to subconscious strong powers. Next is then Mercury. Mercury stands for the thinking and the thinking process. So here we may find clues and mechanisms and backgrounds. Last but not least, let's look at Mars and Venus. Venus stands for what we love, and if we experience a depreciation there, we may feel unwanted, lonely, and separated, all of which are conditions that can lead to depression. Mars can also cause sharp pain, especially when in tangent aspects to the Moon. Here we are mainly looking at squares, oppositions, and conjunct. Please find the desk reference on planet, signs, houses, and aspects in the download link below. Now let's look at some examples. Examples of personalities who came out speaking about their depression. The first one we want to look at is Dwayne Johnson. So here in the 12th house we find Pluto. Then we look at the Moon, and we find the Moon in a square to Pluto. So Pluto in the subconscious of the 12th house represents a forceful, maybe violent pain in the subconscious. Seeing that Pluto here is in the so-called void of course, this is the last 30 seconds of every sign, where things cannot manifest for short. This is a pain that he cannot grab hold of even. So he wouldn't even find out where this force comes from. Knowing astrology, we can trace back, and without going into lengthy detail here, and in order not to stretch this video too much, this pain here may come from his mother's side and be a value imprinted in the subconscious as a heritage that maybe has no more meaning even, as we see it is in the void of course and doesn't manifest, but still may exercise subconscious pain or fear. This can literally be a fear that has been passed down genetically. And here we can see that it is but also on the way to move out. In this lifetime maybe, so he will be able to evacuate this pain for good. Then we look at the 8th house. And here we find Saturn and the Sun. Saturn can drag you down or make you tough. Here, without any negative aspect, the sheer placement in the 8th house may have thoughts revolve around death. On the other hand, as Saturn in 8 also indicates toughness. These people survive a lot. Then we look at house number 6. The 6th house starts in Pisces, and its ruler Neptune sits in the 2nd house in Sagittarius, which is a good condition for Neptune, especially because it doesn't have any negative aspect either. For the conditions and qualities of planets in the various signs, please refer to the download link. We prepared the desk reference for you for free. Then we look at Scorpio. Scorpio rules the 2nd house here, a house of values, and provides its ruler Pluto in the 12th house. But we've already addressed that. Our next example is Jim Carrey. He's a grand example for the power of thought and of thoughts that left alone and unchecked release great powers of mind and imagination, and when the mind left alone on his own, it can play you really badly. One core advice that can be given here is to try to get into the driver's seat of your mind and decide on the route yourself. All this, of course, for conditions that are not the result of a physical or medical condition. So what do we have here? We have a moon in the 8th house. The 12th house starts in Libra and is therefore ruled by Venus. That is a great luck here because this Venus in Capricorn likes discipline, and in the 3rd house, thoughts, literature, and conversation. So Venus for what we love and Capricorn for discipline combines to disciplined reading, speaking, and thinking that may contribute to the healing part here. Then we have house number 6 that starts in Aries. Its two rulers, Pluto and Mars, each have sextiles to the rising, so that should be good and supportive. No worries there for a health condition. Then we want to go look at Scorpio, the rising. And here we also have Neptune that we wanted to check. Neptune on the rising in Scorpio may have a tendency to thinking clouded with negativity. And if the mind is left alone, it will run off with what it wants to think. So this condition can be great power or your ruin. Then we said we want to check Saturn. We don't find any specific issues here. Then we need to check Mercury, and we find Mercury here in conjunction with Jupiter, which means that the thinking can go in an extremely positive direction and is very powerful, and it can literally materialize positive thoughts. So this is what we can use here for improvement. And then we still check the Sun and Venus, which also have a conjunction here, and they can also be used to aid the positive thinking process that is needed here. We can say that it is likely a thinking issue here because we didn't find any physical issues from the house 6 and its rulers. If you don't know Jim Carrey and watch a few of his videos here on YouTube, you will be amazed at the power of thinking that he advocates and implements. Okay, another one, our hero, Oprah Winfrey. Now we already used the process and combine a few things together, and this should go quicker. First, we find the moon in the 12th house, which can lead to feelings of loneliness, because in the 12th house you can also feel you vanish. Then we find Pluto in the 8th house. That may bring powerful thoughts of death and violent nightmares with it. The 8th house also stands for sleep, so the fears may also come at night. Then we find a square between Venus and Saturn, which may cause the impression that people and things she loves are taken away from her. And finally, we look at the house number 6, where we find her great savior Jupiter, with a great trine to her thinking with Mercury and her goals on the MC or midheaven. We won't analyze her rising here because you see that it's in a void, of course, where nothing can materialize and manifest. But since we have a birth time here of 4:30, we can say that this birth time would first need to be checked and rectified because no one is born exactly at 4:30. Or at least most people are not born to the point like this. We will not do a birth time rectification here because this will take much too long. We will refer to this topic in a later video. So that was it for a first video on a very difficult theme. We are very much interested to help as far as we can, so please do comment with questions and observations. We are looking forward to the discussion. In a short video like this, we can only cover so much, but we will come back to the topic as per your input. Thank you in advance for your contributions. If you believe we can help, especially in finding clues where to look for relief and healing, please do reach out in the comments. And of course, no need to post personal details. We will come back with our contact details to continue on email. We hope you find useful content on this channel and in this video and appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much for your comments. And please also comment what interests you aside from this topic here. We will cater to the most requested themes first. Please subscribe to stay updated with free content every Sunday. And remember to activate notifications to be informed about new content. Thank you for your interest and see you again soon on this channel.